I met Isaiah 3 years ago at a homeless shelter. I had met him with my two kids. I was 2 months pregnant at the time, and he stepped up and was a daddy to both of my kids. In the beginning of 2021, I had a CPS worker knock on my door, and that's when allegations of child molestation was brought up against Isaiah. She said the allegations was that he touched my son. The first time a CPS case was opened, they did a full investigation. They closed it. They said my son could not describe nothing about what happened to him. He couldn't explain nothing. Closed. A couple months later, while Isaiah was incarcerated, another CPS case had opened. He hadn't been around the kids for almost a year. And in that CPS case, it was said that he made my son perform oral sex on him. The lady did a full investigation. Once again, she said he could not describe or show anything or tell them what that was. And they closed it again. It was 2 CPS cases closed, and they still keep saying that he touched them. Like, these people don't close that. They did their full investigation, and they say they found no type of molestation to my son. My son has never mentioned to me that he was sexually molested by Isaiah. Never. Every time he talks to me, it's always about how much he loves his son. I never heard them words come out of his mouth. My mom has custody of my oldest 2 kids because of the sexual allegation. It's just a lot going on. And my mom and Isaiah does not like each other. She doesn't like him. I don't know what it was about him, but she just don't like him. Even though he stepped up and helped raise her grandkids, she don't like him. If she fails, I do not want to speak to her again, and I want her to keep my kids back. Because I'm your daughter, and you really think that I will lay under somebody that like that, or you literally blame me and say that I know that he's touching my son. Like, why would I even date somebody who does that? I know for a fact that Isaiah's innocent. I've been around him for 3 years. The way he loved my kids and everything that he's been through since what he went through when he was young, I know for a fact that he would have never hurt my son. I know my mom is lying. If I find out that he fails, this makes it even more harder because I recently just found out I'm pregnant with his second child, and it's just gonna break me.
Shelita, your daughter believes that you might be fabricating the story that Isaiah molested your grandson.
Steve, no, I'm not fabricating a story that my grandson told this to another family member. And I got a phone call. And when I got this phone call, he had did something to another family member, and they asked him, where did he get it from? And he said, Isaiah. When I got that phone call, Steve, that was the worstest nightmare a grandmother could possibly get. I wound up getting custody of my grandson. He came and stayed with me. I never once questioned. He started giving me details and telling me things. Voluntarily. First story came about that Isaiah was touching him. And he said, Grammy, he said, I have to tell you this. And I'm like, what? He said, Isaiah was playing with my private. I left out the room. I told him, stay right there. And I went downstairs outside, and I just started crying. Then another incident came about. We sitting watching a movie. My grandson said, Grammy, I need to tell you something else. I'm like, what you talking about? He was like, well, when I was staying with my mama and Isaiah. I'm like, what? He was like, you know, Isaiah used to bring his girlfriends around. And I'm like, what you talking about? And they made me do some stuff to them. And I'm like, what you talking about? Some stuff to them. Their private parts. I had to sniff their behinds. I had to play with them and stuff like that. I'm like, no, this can't be. So I called CPS. CPS worker came out. She talked to him. She talked to him separate. And they made another case. We went down to the place that we had to go to. And they told him that they wanted to record him. When they told him that they wanted to record him, that was it. Isaiah told him that if he would say something, he gonna be able to see him. So he did not tell him. So they closed the case.
If you say he gave this much evidence, why is I'm not in jail? Why did the CPS tell me he cannot show me nothing? Why is I'm not locked up? This is the only thing the CPS was worrying about. Can he say these things out his mouth? And he cannot say these things out his mouth. That's why I'm free. If a kid is traumatized and he feels safe, he is going to open up and tell. If he could tell you, he could tell multiple people. If he could tell you, he could tell us.
Not going to open up if you sat there and you talked, and you sat there and you talked, and you sat there and you talked, and you scared him.
What happened when one of your family members called Shelita about the molest allegations?
Someone special to me. You know, I really don't put my family in my business. That's not me. I'm my own man. I handle my own business. Someone special to me finally came out because he was really taking a toll on me after I done got out of jail because, you know, I was already incarcerated for another, crime. So.
I'm just curious, that crime wouldn't have anything to do with sexual nature?
No.
Or children?
So, no. So I finally told her, and that special person was very disappointed, so that person wanted to call face-to-face. You know, I told her I never spoke to her face-to-face. I really wanted to speak to her face-to-face, so that person called. Instead of bringing up the allegations, you want to talk about relationships. Now, if you in here for the voice of your grandson, why are you not talking about that?
So she never brought up the allegations to your family members. She just talked about the relationship between you and her daughter.
Yes, sir.
First of all, do you believe that your son was molested by anybody?
I do.
Okay. Do you believe it was Isaiah?
No.
Okay. Do you believe that your mom is coaching your son to say that it was Isaiah?
Yes.
Okay. Why would that be?
Because she doesn't like him.
She doesn't like Isaiah.
No, they don't see eye to eye.
Why doesn't your mom like Isaiah?
I feel like it's because he's young. I'm way older than him.
Thank you.
Well, you're not way older. I mean,
well, you know, I'm 4 years older than him.
Yeah, I mean...
She thought about me being young. I can't put that weight on my back and carry it like I done. And when I saw, we was homeless. We came from an apartment to a house, to her not having not one car, to we having 2 cars. At an early age, I'm going to work, taking care of children. She thought I wouldn't do it. She kept telling me, if I was you, I would leave. And me looking her in her face as a man, my man raised a man like that.
So that's why I told you to leave?
Yes.
That's why I told you to leave?
Yes.
That's why.
Yes.
Let's tell the real truth. We here for what? We here for what?
That's why you told me to leave.
We here for what?
That's why you told me to leave.
I told you.
That's why you told me to leave.
I told you.
That's why you told me to leave.
We here for what?
That's why
we
you
here for
told me
what?
to leave.
Well, how did you first become aware of these allegations?
The CPS worker knocked on my door. Another family member had questioned my son. When she questioned my son, I don't know how she said it. He was really trying to explain how Isaiah took him a bath. When a CPS case got closed, that same family member called me and apologized. Until this day, she apologizes. She called me every day and she speaks to Isaiah or said, since they closed the case twice, that she don't believe that he did that.
Have you ever asked your son what happened?
When he got taken, my mom never let me talk to him by myself. But when I do be on FaceTime with him by himself, like if he take the phone and walk off, if he see a shadow in the background, he gonna be like, "Oh, is that Isaiah? If that's Isaiah, tell him I say hey and I miss him and I love him. Can I please speak to him?" And I be like, "No, you can't talk to him right now."
Has your mom ever accused you of letting Isaiah molest your son?
She said, "I know that he does that, and I'm sleeping under a child molester. Out of 25 years have you known me? Or you really seriously think that I'd be that low for love? I done been stupid for love before, but no, not for my kids."
Yeah.
How does your mom have custody of 2 of your oldest kids?
That's why I ain't never leave her.
I had a warrant out for my arrest. She only really had custody of the first one, but when the police had ran my name, I had a warrant out. It got dropped literally 3 days after I got out of jail, and she was able to get custody of my daughter too.
Okay. How often are you allowed to see them?
I'm supposed to see him 2 times a week.
Ask her, do she see him?
How often do you see them?
I'm not gonna lie, I haven't been seeing them a lot.
Why?
Because I work a lot, and then I just be so tired. I just be going through so much. I really just been depressed a lot lately because it's like when I see them, it hurts me because they can't it hurts me because I gotta see them supervised like I'm a monster or something. So I don't know.
I know, baby.
I just be depressed a lot.
I mean, you want them back, right?
Yes, I want them back. It's not. It hurts me because I gotta see them with other people around. I can't have my own kids in my own house.
Swear to God.
You know, this is a topic that we cover more than any other topic on this show. And I think that's why the show's important. Because we either clear people who have been falsely accused, or we expose the person who's doing serious damage to children. Okay? You know, and a lot of times when I do these stories, I kind of can figure it out even before I get to this. This one's a little tricky. I mean, here we have a young man who gets involved with a young woman who has children, who then goes on to have some children of his own with her. And, you know, the struggles of being young and not having money and, you know, living out of motels. That's a hard life. That's a really hard life. Yeah. It does open the door for kids to be exposed to sexual abuse.
Yes, sir.
But it also, like, life would be so tough for these two young people that for people to accuse you of something you're not doing makes life so much harder.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. But we're ready to find out, I guess. And we asked you, did you fabricate by making up or exaggerating a story that Isaiah had sexually molested your grandson? You answered no, and the result for your lie detector test is that you told the truth.
Thank you.
And we asked him, did you sexually molest Shaitassia's son for your own sexual pleasure? He answered no. Did you at any time have Shaitassia's son ever perform sexual acts on you? He answered no. The results came back the same to each question. And they came back that Isaiah told the truth. I understand everybody's really upset, emotions are really high right now, but I would say this. In my mind, I would like to see families work together. A mother involved in a daughter's life. A mother involved in her daughter's life who, at a young age, is a little overwhelmed, has a lot of kids already. A young man who, trying his hardest, has still got a lot to learn in life. So I would say, all the petty stuff, the stuff that he said about you, you got to move forward from this point. If you want to rehash and be petty, then that's your choice. But I'll say this. As a young man, I would take all the help I could get, especially being in the situation you're in. You're taking on a lot of responsibility. You have 2 kids, well, you know, you're going to have a second one very shortly, at the age of 21. So you could hold anger inside you. You can be bitter, both of you, or you can say, you know what? When it comes down to it at the end of the day, she was acting out of a place of protecting the grandson. Has she made mistakes? Yes. Should she be forgiven and say, hey, I need my mom's help. We need my mother-in-law's help. Man, when I had my first baby, I was 39 years old, and I couldn't get enough help from my mother-in-law. Take all you can get. Don't, you know. So.
I just want her to talk to my son by herself and really figure out.
Yes.
Or let me talk to her. We need to figure out
Yes.
what really
Yes.
Let my friend come talk to me.
Yes. We're going to want to know if that person has been brought forth, okay? So, listen, at the end of the day, we wish and pray for all 3 of you that you come together, that you will be a family, that you can put the hurt and anger behind you and move forward for the best interest of that little boy. Thank you for coming on, Shelita.
I called you, Steve, for help because I watch your show all the time.
Somebody's going to watch this and say, you know what? She was brave enough to do that. I can do that too.